up, guys? My name is Nicole Hemphill, and welcome to the 6th episode of Silence in the Backcourt. Today, I have a really good friend with me, Connor Jones-Hebert. What's up, Connor?
What's up, guys? As Nicole said, my name is Connor, and I'm really happy to be here. Normally, I am behind the camera, so it's a little interesting being in front of it. Now, I don't really have too many credentials to talk about women's sports. The amount of athletics that I have extends to about middle school athletics. So we'll see where we go here. But I am a film major, so I have some credibility when it comes to watching film. So that's why I'm here. I'm excited to be here.
Awesome, Connor. Thank you for being here. So back to what Connor said, we are reviewing a film. We're doing a brand new segment on the show where we are looking at female representation in sports media. So this is the first episode of us doing that, and today we are talking about I, Tonya, directed by Craig Gillespie. Yes, am I saying Gillespie.
Yep.
And it came out in 2017. So let's get into it. I, Tonya. Connor, how did you feel about I, Tonya? With your expertise on film, how did you feel about it?
Overall, I thought it was really good. I thought the pacing was actually really solid. I felt a little bit conflicted because my mom's name is also Tonya. So seeing a lot of domestic violence in it was not great.
Yeah.
It was a very hard topic to go through, but I thought they did it really well. I know we were talking about this before, but for some reason, it was categorized as a comedy, which there are some comedic aspects in it, but It's going through such traumatic stuff. It feels a little wrong putting it in the comedy
one
category.
after another. But one thing I can appreciate is just the brilliance of the young Margot Robbie.
Yes, incredibly impressive. She was 25, right?
Yes.
Is that right? Yeah.
Yes.
Ridiculous. I mean, the fact that she was able to portray, I think it was like from her when she was 15 to 22. Mm-hmm. Like that's insane. Oh, actually, sorry, from 15 to
she's in her
probably
40s,
40. Yeah, like mid to late 40s. Mm-hmm. That's incredibly impressive. And I don't think people understand just how difficult that can be for an actor. So yeah, I think she did a phenomenal job. I also love Sebastian Stan. He's a phenomenal actor. Being able to see his butt on camera, chef's kiss.
What is that on the meme with Anthony Mackie? Sebastian Stan.
Yes. You know, it's not America's ass. It's not quite America's ass. However, that's still a soldier's ass right there.
That is the Winter Soldier's ass right there.
So very, very pleased to see that. Not pleased to see him beat Margot Robbie. That was that was not a great sight to see. However, I do think it is very important to show that side of things, especially for a woman who's so successful.
Yes.
Right? Seeing a woman who's so successful still falling like into that type of situation. Mm-hmm. I think that's very important for women to see because, you know, it's like, hey, you're not alone. Like this happens to even like the most successful, to the most important and smartest people. Like you're not alone. Mm-hmm. Right? It's manipulation can affect anybody. So.
Right. And yeah, it goes to show too, like domestic abuse can happen to anybody, and it is not reserved for people of different status or different success or just any demographic. It can happen to anybody. And in the sports world, specifically when you're kind of trained to, like in the movie, right, her mom essentially was beat any kind of softness or anything out of her. She wasn't even allowed to go to school.
Yeah.
Like she wasn't allowed to be a human being outside of being an athlete. And so whenever you're conditioned into not feeling anything or only feeling anger and resentment, like, yeah, she loves skating, but like I can understand how that relationship would get skewed too. And you just thinking that level of abuse, verbal and physical, would be okay. And then going into a marital relationship and having the same thing happen to you, like you are more likely to return to those conditions of abuse because it's just something that you've grown up with and it's just a gross cycle, you know?
Yeah, and there's so many layers to it because I feel like skating for her was both like her escape and her prison at the same time.
Yes.
Right? Because part of it was that, like her mom would always use that as a means to like manipulate her into being like, hey, like you owe me, right?
Yes.
But skating was also the thing that she loved the most.
Mm-hmm.
And she found that escapism into it. So, and I do think she got some amount of like help when it comes to like with her coaches and stuff like that.
Yes.
It does seem her coaches were like pretty solid when it came to like actually acknowledging her talents and nurturing it and not just completely neglecting and abusing her.
Right.
But even with that, the actual system of the skating world was also abusing her. Exactly. This is one of the main things I wanted to talk about is how even like regardless if you think that Tonya Harding is a bad person or if like she did this, even though like it's kind of implied that, yeah, no, she had nothing to do with the actual like
assault.
The actual assault. But she was, however, like planning like the whole like threats and stuff like that. But regardless of that, whether you think she's guilty, she was still a victim of the system, right? And because of that, Nancy was as well, right? If she was getting fair scores, right? If she didn't have to go through fight tooth and nail just to get fair scoring, right? She probably wouldn't have been in that position. Now, obviously with the whole like security guard incident, like actually being the one who threatened her.
Yes.
Spoiler alert, by the way.
Oh my god. Yes, spoilers, major spoilers.
God, the security.
Sean, what's his name?
Sean, bro. Oh, the lamest dude.
The casting was impeccable.
It was really good.
Because I didn't even realize, like, at the end when it showed the interviews.
Yes. So, guys, at the end of the film, it shows real clips of everything that happens. And I swear to God, it is 1-to-1 with Sean. Oh, he's literally a Discord moderator. That's the exact archetype that I want y'all to think of. That's Sean. It's a little disturbing.
He works in...
Shout out to the actor. He did a phenomenal job.
Oh, yes. He works in espionage and international counter-terrorism efforts. Oh, my gosh.
Shout out to the interviewer who called him.
But you're not. But you're not. We looked into it, Sean.
Yes.
You're not. Oh, my gosh.
Great. That was a great scene. I laughed so hard. I looked to my brother and I was like, this couldn't have actually happened, right?
Oh, modern day. This is like the QAnon people. These are real people. Like this can,
yep.
In our modern day conspiracy theory era, this could happen again. And I really liked the guy that worked for the newspaper. That was essentially saying like they got the two biggest boobs of all boobs to do this hit.
That was funny.
I can appreciate, and he was supposed to be like that's back then's TMZ kind of thing. That's
pretty
what
much.
I was kind of picking up on.
And yeah, I like how they also acknowledged like kind of how shitty that whole system is too, as well, right? Because obviously, like paparazzi, like that type of stuff, especially like TMZ, they can be terrible to these celebrities, and I feel like everybody can kind of acknowledge that.
Yeah, it's very non-ethical.
Exactly.
The way they obtain information.
So yeah, and I really like how they actively acknowledged like, yeah, we would flatten her tires just
get a picture.
That was crazy. That diabolical, especially for it to be right after like a very like heartfelt scene that like really messed her up. So I'm trying not to do too many spoilers because I do think you guys should watch this movie. It is phenomenally done. It looks so good. The cinematography in it is surprisingly really good. And if I remember correctly, the visual effects on it as well, like regarding like whenever she's actually skating and because I believe they do I believe, is it motion cap and I don't know, because I know they get the actual figure skater and then they put Margot Robbie's face on it, and it was pretty well done.
Yeah, especially in slow-mo.
Yes.
Yes.
Face replacement. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Peyton.
Yeah, shout out to my brother. He's doing audio right now. Yeah.
We love you, Peyton. Peyton's
debatable. JK, love you. But yeah, so like even from a visual effects standpoint, they actually spent so much time on this movie. So I like how they actually took this story, brought it to light, and did it, and I feel like a pretty respectful way. And also they actually took the time to make it good, right? Because I feel like we don't see that a lot of times, especially when it comes to like women athletes. They tend to get the short end of the stick a lot of times. So,
but I also felt like the way it was directed or produced, like they kind of held Tonya accountable, because there were a couple of times during her interview she had said, "Well, it wasn't my fault. It wasn't my fault. This happened."
And then they do the flashbacks.
And it's like, well, yeah, you had a hand in your own undoing there. Like, yes, the cards were stacked against you. We can acknowledge that, but you didn't help yourself either.
Correct.
So, like, I can understand that I can see when some documentaries, like, favor one side. You know, I feel like this one did a very good job of holding the main character accountable, and it was established that she wasn't as reliable as we were gonna go into it believing, you know.
Yeah, they still show her as a victim, which I think is as it should, right? Anybody going through that type of childhood, anybody going through domestic violence like that, it's like they deserve to have that side shown, right? No matter how bad the person is, you still have to look at what they went through to understand that context. However, that doesn't mean that she is guilt-free.
No, yeah.
Right? So I really do enjoy how they did that. But the one thing I will say, I wish we got a little bit more of the interactions between her and Nancy, because they did like show how they were friends at one point.
Together,
So I kind of wanted to see more of like that growing tension between them, to see like, okay, was this more of like just a spur of the moment thing, or was it an actual like, okay, maybe she wanted to do it specifically to her? I don't think that's the case.
Yeah.
But I would have liked a little more context with that. And
if there were other figure skaters on the team, which there are, right? Why specifically was it Nancy?
The one thing I will say is, because obviously like Nancy was good, right?
Yeah.
She was winning competitions. So it kind of makes sense. But again, if she just wanted that placement on the team, like, yeah, she could have gone for anybody else.
Yeah. That's why I feel like the tension, I think, would have been nice to play into it, because only thing that we saw really was that they were friends.
Exactly.
Tonya acknowledged, like, we were friends, we were roommates on the road sometimes.
And they were roommates.
And they were roommates. Oh my God. And they were roommates. They were, but they were buddies, right? So like, I would like to have seen the build up, a little bit of the foreshadowing of, oh, I don't like this girl, or she's in my way.
Yeah. The one thing I will say though is that since they didn't do that, I feel like it really like shows, oh, she's doing it because she's competitive.
Yes. Right?
Again, she's like, skating is her life. She will do any and everything to get into that position of being the best in the world.
Right.
So I guess there is that, but again, you pick and choose. So it's still a phenomenal movie regardless. And yeah, I mean, just the pressure of going into the Olympics is so great. So I can't imagine just how much pressure relies on her or falls on her being in a relationship like that, right? Because you're going to be ostracized from your mom because she thinks you're a piece of shit. She doesn't think you're like worth it. So it's like knowing that you're going to go into a competition where the odds are going to be stacked against you, even if you do a trick that no one else has done, right?
Yeah.
It's like they're still going to be like, you don't fit the image.
Yes, I do want to get into the image that the American Skating Association or figure skating, I'm glitching right now.
I think
the association, they wanted her to be, because they kind of depicted her as this trailer trash kind of young woman. I mean, it wasn't Tonya's fault that she came from a family that wasn't able to support her to buy like the most expensive uniforms for skating or anything. I mean, it wasn't her fault that she had an unstable home environment, but I guess in the skating world, which I'm unfamiliar with. I don't have any experience in that.
Neither do
realm,
I.
but from
I'd die.
but from like what it was depicted, like it wasn't her fault that she didn't fit into that narrative,
Mm-hmm.
and she just wanted it to be about X's and O's. She just wanted it to be about skating.
Yeah.
Because she was saying, I'm out skating all of these people. Right? And it wasn't necessarily about that. It was a political aspect of it.
Exactly.
It wasn't fair to her. Like, that's where the system, I really feel, failed her.
Exactly. And it's the fact that they pushed the goalposts, right? Because initially it was like, she's not pretty. Like, it's not like she's not girly enough. She's not pretty enough because of like what she had on.
Yes.
Right? She then makes her own outfit. Right? They're still not giving her the score. So it's like, what are you supposed to do? Then when she confronts that judge and it's like, oh, yeah. You know, you just don't fit like the whole like, good family life.
You're
like,
supposed to represent America.
Yes.
We don't want, but like, that is America. Like that, different demographics, different, so.
It's frustrating.
Yes, absolutely.
It was very frustrating to see that,
and
so.
When you think, I mean, like this may be stereotypical, but when I think of like figure skating, I think kind of uppity, you know, like you have to have money to pay the dues and everything. I kind of think of like, it's kind of like, it's an uppity, like, not necessarily prissy is not the word that I want to use. But more like country club kind of thing.
I was just thinking like high-end upper class.
Yeah, upper class.
Right,
that's
because there's
verbiage.
no school that has that. So it's always going to be like something
private
that
lessons.
Exactly.
Yes. So you have to have money to be able to do that. That's kind of what I was trying to come across. I wasn't trying to, if you're a figure skater, I love you and I appreciate
uppity wasn't the right word.
I
wanted to stray away from that.
We're going to cut that out. I'm sorry.
No, I mean,
trying to get canceled on
but I mean,
pod.
still, I still feel like it's good to include that type of
it's a
like,
different
idea.
demographic.
Exactly.
Yeah. Like the people that grew up playing football, basketball, sports that are like, what was
There's
that?
a fly.
Oh, I didn't like that. The people that grew up playing football, basketball, soccer and stuff. Volleyball, yes. And the public school or private schools, right? I mean, those are kind of accessible sports.
Exactly.
Like usually there's a basketball court on the playground kind of thing. But like you have to get on an ice rink, you know? There are certain sacrifices you have to make. As Tonya's mom put
she did make sacrifices, and I do respect that, right? Because it's like there's some amount of care that you have to spend like all of your paycheck on like supporting that. But my God, you do not hang that over your child. You consciously made that decision.
Like, she hated her for existing.
She was a child. She was 3 or no, 4.
Yeah, 4.
No, she said a soft 4. So I feel like it was, 4. Like, terrible.
No, yeah.
Terrible.
And so she was, like I said before, like her, beginning with her mom, right? She tried to beat out every softness or childlike aspect of her kid to try to make her the best.
Yes.
Because I guess to be the best, you can't have feelings, right? You can't, and if you're a woman, it's even worse, right? And in my honest opinions, like, cause you already have the odds stacked against you with like, the moment you show emotion, oh, she's too emotional kind of thing. So like, I just feel like she was conditioned into such resentment and anger and malice to where when she took that out on others, like
Malice in the Palace. Sorry.
Her mom was a Detroit Piston. Like she was. So when we talk about Miss Harding, Tonya's mom, right? Obviously that was a very volatile and abusive relationship, right? And like you said earlier, Tonya's escapism, her sacred place was on the ice rink, right? But then that abusive relationship with her mom, like you can't now separate the skating and the abuse. Like they're now going hand in hand because like her mom's always there. Like her mom is a coach in her own right. Like she's always there. Like her parent is probably like your first coach, right? It's there. And then from her mom's relationship, now she goes into another abusive relationship with her husband, right? Yeah. And also skating is a part of it. It's affecting her skating. And so like when we talk about systems of abuse and how it's really easy for you to sit back as a watcher of the situation and go, you know what, why doesn't she just leave? right? Well, that's the only thing that she's ever known.
Exactly.
So of course it's easier for her to forgive her abuser or think, well, I just want to be loved, and maybe this is what love is, because the only love that I have known has been one that it has existed in physical altercations, in emotional abuse and everything. And when it's tied into her skating and stuff like that's it's the only thing that she knows, you know?
And you especially see the manipulation whenever she established, like, she was like, yeah, I know he probably shouldn't hit me, but he says that he loves me, right? She never got that from her mom. Right? So seeing that, okay, yeah, he hits me, but at least he says that he loves me.
Mm-hmm.
At least it's a step up from what I grew up with.
Right.
Because, and I think this is one thing that I feel like kind of got glossed over, was the whole bit that, like, oh, like, her dad left her to deal with her own mom, right? And I wasn't sure if I saw this wrong or not, but whenever they got married, was that her dad there?
Yes.
That was
her dad.
So the only other time that we see her father pop up, and her dad was also her safe space.
Yeah.
That was one of the only times that she actually enjoyed herself and didn't feel like she was being attacked, was going hunting with her dad,
mm-hmm.
right? And her dad actively skinned dead animals to make her the fur coat. Like, that's so precious.
That's love right there.
But then once he left, he was gone.
Yeah.
Only time he showed up was to hand her off to another man who was then beating her.
Yes. I mean, like, I'm not trying to, like, give grace where grace isn't due or anything, but that's the only thing that we can sit here and say, like, that's the only time that we saw. We don't know
exactly.
If it's, like,
that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. They glossed over it a bunch.
I would have loved to see, like, if her dad ever reached out to her.
Yes.
Or, like, or was a part of, like, did he go to any of her competitions? You know?
And like, I think especially whenever it came down to, like, the Olympic stuff, he might have been there.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know. And I did want to do extra research at some point, because I also wanted to see that last Olympic competition, right, where her and Nancy were in it. She got 8th, and then Nancy got 2nd place, and they did supposedly similar, not sets,
but like styles, whatever.
Routines, yes. Okay. Similar routines, and it was just such a drastic difference in scoring. And so I wanted to confirm whether or not that was, like, for real or not.
That's true. And with all of the controversy Tonya had behind her, because people were thinking that she did have something to do with it. I mean, her ex-husband was now saying that, like, no, she was in on it too. She knew. And she said that they delayed her trial till after the Olympics.
Yes.
And so, like,
I do respect that, at least.
Yes. And it does go to show that, you know, it wasn't just about skating. This entire time, it wasn't just about skating. It was the image. And of course, they can't have someone that now has the potential of the image of being an accessory to an assault, you know, like, so no, they couldn't let her get higher, you know, and I mean, that sucks.
Yeah.
That sucks. That's not okay. But, like, yeah, she had a lot of baggage, and they didn't want her to have a seat at the table because of that baggage.
One of the things that they touched on in the film towards the end, which I actually really like that they talked about, because it really goes to show that even when, like, something bad is happening, people are going to jump on the chance to profit off of it.
Oh, exploitation, right? So bad, yes.
So all of this was happening, right? She can't skate anymore. But you know what? People still want to see her. So, hey, she got called up to be a fighter.
Yeah.
And people loved it. Right?
Mm-hmm. I
know they must have gotten so much money, because I also know people probably wanted to see Tonya get her ass beat.
Yeah.
I know they were, like, throwing in frustrations and having it to be like, okay, I want to see her get messed up. So it's like seeing how people are with that type of situation where it's okay. She's already going through so much. You know that she's at rock bottom. So you know she'll kind of do anything.
Yeah.
So you're like, hey, come fight.
And she was backed into a corner because she didn't have an education. She couldn't do anything other than waitressing, you know?
And again, her mom took her out of school.
Yes.
So that's why she didn't have the education.
It
wasn't because of her.
GED.
Yep. It's not because of her. And again, I know we like to like kind of call her out like, okay, yeah, even though you say, you know, it wasn't your fault, you still had some things to do here. And that was not her fault. Her not having an education was not her fault.
Oh, yeah, no. That was not her fault.
So it's just like, yeah,
her mom exploited her.
Yeah.
Exploited her. So I think that's one of the worst cases of athlete exploitation that we've seen.
100%.
One of the cases, what? Do you have another one that you're thinking?
Football movie?
Oh, The Blind Side? Yeah, no, yeah, that's... Which sucks, too, because I love Sandra Bullock. I love her.
It just sucks because, you know, it's one of the greatest, like, football stories that, like, has come out
of all time.
on film.
Yes.
But then they completely gloss over, like, the actual abuse that was happening.
Yeah.
So, shout out classic white savior movies. That's,
that trope is...
Yeah, so I'm glad that, the real story came out with that, at least. But, yeah, so technically... not the most exploitative, words are hard, but it's definitely in that same category.
Yeah.
Because you can't really compare, like, you can't compare trauma to trauma. That's just not how that works.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's, there's a good amount of cases, and I know a lot which haven't actually come to light. Right. And again, women's sports tends to get so screwed over. It's bad because like and like I know normally you guys talk about like a lot of basketball or volleyball, like the main sports, but with women's sports, some of the main ones tend to be like figure skating or something that I think is like somewhat close to it because again, Olympic event, very specific roles or looks that they have to uphold is like gymnastics.
Oh my
and
gosh,
we've seen so much abuse come from gymnastics. And it's like, even when people knew about it, they didn't really care too much. Like, it's ridiculous.
And that's one of the reasons why I want to go into sports law, to help athletes that are being exploited and to make sure that they get the justice that they deserve and their stories don't go unheard, and that whenever they are comfortable with coming forward with allegations of abuse, that they aren't discredited or people say that they're lying, you know, like I believe that we should believe women, you know, because nobody wants to come forward, and that essentially ruins their life too, in a way. Like you just are now being vulnerable with another person about the worst thing that probably happened to you. And that aspect of your life is now a public one. And that is devastating. Like that takes a piece of you away, you know? And so I just want to make sure, and going with what you said with USA Gymnastics, like there is a incredibly done documentary, and I've seen it twice. I'll have to watch it again. We probably need to talk about it on this segment of the podcast, called Athlete A. And it is phenomenal, and it's gut wrenching. And I've cried every time I watched it, just because these women, these brave, courageous young women, were not believed, and it took years for them to get the justice that they deserved.
I haven't seen the documentary, but I know of the situation, and that's kind of why I brought it up. Yeah. But also, was it? I mean, I know there's probably something with Russia and China as well. And see, that's the thing. Because I know this happened so many times, it's really hard to think of the specific ones. Like, and that's crazy.
We need more people willing to advocate for these young, like if it's happening at the Olympic level, like the most elite athletes possible, it's happening at other levels.
Exactly. But because it's the Olympics, that also means that it's happening to children because they're allowed to compete in the Olympics. Right?
That's
especially when it comes to gymnastics, right? It's like, whenever you're younger, you kind of have, I don't want to say you don't necessarily have an edge over the other competitors, but you're lighter weight.
Yeah, you're smaller.
Right? And that tends to help sometimes. But also you tend to lack certain like strength. But still, because we've already seen multiple children in the Olympics, it's like that terrifies me. Because regardless, abuse is terrible.
Mm-hmm.
But to have it be at that level and for it to happen to a child at that level is absurd. It's
easier to exploit and manipulate somebody whenever that person doesn't have a voice or doesn't feel like they have an advocate.
Yeah.
Because they're just being controlled. So they're going to do whatever.
Oh, there's the fly.
The fly, yeah. So they're going to do whatever their superior tells them, and they're just going to think, okay, well, this is just the way it is. I'm an elite athlete. It's going to be hard. This is a job, you know? I'm maybe 12, but this is my job. And I do love it. Aspects of it, you know, and they get burnt out and everything. It's a vicious cycle. But we need to have adults that are ready to step in and hold individuals accountable, regardless of the level that they're on. I don't care if it's the head honcho of your organization. Someone needs to step up and be willing to advocate for these young women. And I'm so proud of these young women to come up because they've established these huge platforms on social media and they're talking about it.
Yeah.
And for the longest time, they didn't have a voice. And so they punched through that wall and made a voice for them. When we talk about athlete exploitation, you can see key aspects of the exploitation whenever you realize that, you know, these athletes have a seat at the table when it comes to competing, right? And when they have a platform when it comes to being profited off of, and with like commercials and stuff, like people are making money off of them based on their athletic ability and skill and whatnot. But when it comes to talking about how they're treated, when abusive tactics are being used, they don't have a seat at the table. They don't get a hand in how they are treated or perceived, and that's not fair to them.
Exactly.
I mean, they should be able to control the narrative of their lives and be able to control their everyday aspects, you know, and that's really, really traumatic for them. Like them not being able to have a voice or anybody to stand up for them because they've just been conditioned into thinking, you know, I'm an athlete, I'm an elite athlete, and, you know, it's going to be hard. This is my job. But I guess I have to just sit back and just take it. You know, I have to sit back and take the things that might be characterized as abuse. But in reality, it's tough coaching, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, this is how it's supposed to be. I'm at the elite level. It's going to be hard. But in reality, like, you're a human being deserving of dignity and respect. Yeah. And they shouldn't be profited off of based on their, like, just skill and everything. They should be able to have the dignity of a human being.
Exactly. And again, it really sucks because, like, whenever we're talking about minors, like in the Olympics or like just being at like a super high level, it really sucks because, like, even if they have like a good parent, right, they can still be abused in like during training and by their coaches and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Because a lot of times the parents aren't going to necessarily like know that situation or know that like realm, because some people who grow up as athletes, right, they might have parents who weren't athletes. Like, again, they don't know that realm, especially if they're competing at a super high level, right? So even if they're supportive, right, because a lot of times, okay, if your child is super gifted at the sport, like, you let them do it. Right? Even if it's like at a super high level and like they have to make sacrifices, because like you make sacrifices for everything. But then when it's like, oh, my child is getting abused, some people will either choose to ignore it or they just straight up won't know. Mm-hmm. So it sucks because a lot of times these children are getting neglected, not necessarily on purpose, but like they need that they need that parent or that adult to be present so that they don't get manipulated and taken advantage of.
Yes.
You know?
And one connection that I want to make with that specifically is like with that whole child exploitation aspect, right? We see that all the time when it comes to child actors.
Yes. Oh my God.
I mean, if you're watching this and you don't think this happens to athletes, but we see it every day when it comes to like the documentary Quiet on Set broke my heart. That is happening to child actors. It's happening within the sports world. It happens everywhere. Yeah. Right? So like if you can't take this understanding or like understand how this goes on, because if you don't understand how this goes on, take what's happening to child actors and how easy it was for them to be exploited, and draw that parallel to sports, and that you have these parents, right? They want the best for their kids, and they're putting their kids in who they think are capable people and in capable hands, trustworthy hands, right? Because they're your coaches, they're your teachers, they're your mentors, right? You're supposed to trust them. You think that they know everything, their rights and their methods are sound, right? Those child actors thought the same thing. Those parents who let those children go to work for these people, they thought the same thing too. No parent, right, or right-minded individual will willingly let their kid go into an unsafe situation unless they're like, parent is crazy or something, right? Like, they wouldn't let that happen to them. I forgot where I was going with this. Without them, like, knowing, you know? Like, they didn't know their kid was going to be abused, you know?
And that's the thing, because people don't want that to happen, right? Because that's, like, worst case scenario for a parent. So they don't want to believe that that'll happen. And that's the thing. A lot of times they'll put a lot of blind trust into these people. You should never do that.
Yeah.
For any adult watching, if you take anything, right, the takeaway should be, don't just trust random people with your child. And you got to make sure that you either advocate for your child and or make sure that your child understands, like, hey, if you have a feeling that something's wrong, trust that and make sure that they can come to you with that. Because that's the main thing. A lot of times parents will be like, hey, like, you can trust this person. Like, it's okay. Like, you can trust them. And so then the child goes on thinking, like, okay, like, anything this person does, like,
this is okay,
is fine. Yeah. Like, this is just what it is. So making sure that they can listen to themselves, right? Because like, even though they're children, they might not have all the experience, but they can still have intuition. And a lot of times that intuition goes a long way. A lot of times kids know right from wrong. They can recognize that whether they are, like, explicitly saying it or not, right? That gut feeling is real for a lot of people. So being able to, like, tell them, like, hey, trust yourself, right? If you do not think that this is, like, right for you, or if you think that something is going on that shouldn't be, then you need to tell me. Okay? Because there will be programs that won't be like that.
Yeah.
There will be coaches that are phenomenal. Shout out Greg Popovich. Great coach. But there's always going to be so many that are bad. Even if it's the minority.
And don't just expect, like, don't let people tell you, well, that's just how it is. You know, that's just how the industry is. The kids are going to have a hard time transitioning. And it's like, no, if that's just how it is, obviously something needs to change. We shouldn't be conditioned into thinking that this is okay. And just because it happened to you doesn't mean that it needs to happen to everybody else, right? Have the courage to say, you know, what happened to me was wrong, and I'm not going to let that happen to another generation of kid.
Exactly.
And that takes a lot of guts to do, but you have to overcome your conditioning and say, no, what happened to me was wrong, and I'm not going to let it happen again. Just
the whole concept of, like, paying your dues.
Oh,
just
I hate
pisses
that.
me off.
I hate that.
Because,
make
like,
it better for the next person.
Exactly. Like, even just with, like, school, right? Because the whole thing where it's like, oh, once you leave your school, then they immediately start, like, doing a bunch of, like, renovations and stuff like that, right? That happened to me, but I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, man, of course they're getting it. No, good for them.
Don't be bitter.
Right, yeah, even though it should have been, like, sooner rather than later, I'm glad it's at least happening, you know? So, like, I really hate when people complain about people having it easier, because easier doesn't mean bad.
Yeah.
Right? And this happens with athletes all the time, right? Because people of previous generations were like, hey, you know, it's supposed to be hard. You know, you're supposed to have a tough time. You're supposed to go through, like, trials and tribulations. But then when people find easier ways of doing it to where you're not just, like, making your body go through hell just to get to your goal, then they complain about it. They say, "Oh, kids nowadays are soft."
Like,
I hate it.
Like, I guess you don't want it. You don't want to play through your stress fracture. You don't want to play through all this stuff, you know?
Look at Tyrese Halliburton.
You don't want it.
Exactly.
You don't want it, I guess, right?
Exactly.
You're soft. You don't want it.
On a professional level, it's like, yes, I understand you want like your star players to be playing. I get it. However, when they're going through like a minor like injury or like a strain, or like soreness, like that has to be checked out if you are playing at a professional level, right? And a lot of times people in older generations don't understand, like, oh, players now have been playing for so long.
Yeah.
Right? So the amount of practices that they have to do, and a lot of times, especially when it comes to basketball,
they're
right?
specializing these kids when they're like 6 years old.
It's that, because it's like they have like the little leagues, they'll have AAU teams, and so like again with basketball specifically, it'll be like, oh, you have your playtime at school, right? And then you'll also be doing either like rec leagues or AAU teams, and you're constantly practicing and pushing your body to its limits. That strain causes injury. You're basically expediting the process of your body breaking down, right? So whenever you get to the league, your body already has so many miles on it, you know?
Yeah, and there are people that are so lucky. Like, I don't know how many injuries. Let's like LeBron James right now is the oldest NBA player
of
all time, right? So I don't know his injury history, but for him to be in his 40s playing on that level and playing as well as he's playing, being able to move the way he does, that's a privilege. Like, that is so, he's been blessed. He's so lucky
to have the money, because he spends
money, resources. Yeah.
He spends, I think he spends $1 million every year on like
maintenance,
his body.
Probably,
yes.
Yeah.
That is an actual thing he's like said.
But yeah, and it's a privilege to be able to, like, for college athletes, right? If you go your 4-year career without tearing your ACL, having a career-ending injury or something, nothing more than a sprained ankle, that's luck.
Yes.
Like, that's and no, it's really good if you prepared your body and everything. And I mean, there's so many people that do everything they're supposed to go to rehab. They stretch. They do everything that they're supposed to do, and boom, that still happens to them, right?
Nothing is guaranteed.
It happened to me. It's happened to so many of my friends and stuff. Like, it happens. Just things just happen, right? It's a privilege to be able to go through, and they have like, a lot of luck goes into not getting hurt, but it also doesn't help whenever you've been practicing like a professional with the hours that you've been putting in since you're like 8 years old, you know? And that's when I feel like athletes get burned out, because it's like, okay, I've been doing this for almost 20 years and I'm exhausted. Like, do I even love this anymore? Like, this feels like a job. And I've sacrificed time with my friends, my family, my schoolwork, just to do something, put so many hours into something I don't necessarily like very much. Like, that's heartbreaking.
Yeah, and to like kind of tie it back to like the Olympics, right? Like Simone Biles, right? She was at least like very like outwardly speaking about
her mental health.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah.
And people clowned her.
They clowned her, and then she went, she's amazing. Like, the courage of that young woman.
She's the best gymnast of all time.
All time. And it's like, you have a bunch of couch potatoes calling her soft and everything. Like, she has more talent, resilience, skill, everything. And her pinky finger than every other person sitting at home watching her perform.
It's ridiculous.
Like, okay, second string JV superstar. Relax.
Exactly.
Take several seats back. Thank you.
Yeah, so like imagine like with Tonya Harding.
Going back to Tonya.
Shout out Tonya.
The center of our episode, Tonya.
Yes. The fact that she had all this skill, athleticism, work ethic, everything, just for some judges who probably weren't very good at ice skating to begin with. Right? To be like, I'm gonna knock off some points. Even though she did everything flawlessly except fit an image.
Now, before we do run out of time, I want to transition into the sentencing part of the movie. Whenever her husband and the Goonies that decided that they were going to assault Nancy Kerrigan, their sentencing differentiation between
18
Tonya's.
months.
Because Tonya's obviously, she was 23 whenever she was sentenced,
Mm-hmm.
and her sentence, I would say arguably, but I'm just gonna say this is a fact, was way worse than her husband and the 3 other men that were involved in the situation.
And it sucks because yes, technically she didn't have to do prison time like the other 3 did, right? But I mean, hell, they didn't really have to do that much prison time, especially Jeff.
He got out in 8 months.
8 months, yeah. He was supposed to have 18 months. So she was getting 18-month probation.
Mm-hmm.
But her whole life, which centered around skating, was completely just snatched and taken away from her.
Yep.
That's heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Because again, that's all she knew. That's all she knew. That's all she had because she didn't have the education.
And the other men could go back and do whatever they want to do.
Exactly.
Right?
And again, especially in this time, this is like what? The 80s, 90s?
90s, yeah.
Like, there's only so much you can do as a woman during that time. Because, like, I believe it was...
The glass ceiling was thick.
Yeah.
Like, there wasn't a lot of punching through back then.
Mm-hmm. And again, oh my gosh, and I completely forgot, like whenever she got married, right, it went through that whole thing, like, okay, well, I can get insurance.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy because marriage at that time was considered you made it.
And Jeff could still go to college. Like, he had college paid for him because he had his father was a service member
and died. Yeah.
But Tonya didn't have anything. So yeah, of course she latched on to someone that said that he loved her and he had a bunch of prospects and opportunities, and so did she, and that understandably is who she went to. But like, there's only so much that she could do, and once everything was taken away from her, she became a female boxer, right? I looked it up, what happened to her, and in 2018 she was on Dancing with the Stars. I saw that.
Sorry, what?
Yeah, she was on Dancing with the Stars in 2018, and I think right now, correct me if I'm wrong, because I don't know, it could have been a fever dream whenever I was Googling this, that she was working as a custodian, and she has a son, and she's remarried.
Okay, so remarried, has a son, correct, not a custodian.
What is she doing now?
It's like home renovation or
home
landscape.
Renovation. Okay.
Because that's at the end of the film, right? Where
okay.
I can't remember exactly what it was because it's like I think professional painter, like house painters along with that.
Okay.
So it's like house renovation stuff like that. And yeah, because I like how they preface that it's like, yeah, she wanted people to know that she's a good mom.
Good, yes,
right?
Because that she wasn't granted that,
and I hope it's true, right? Because obviously I can't know because I don't know them personally, but I like how her life now is like not in the spotlight as much anymore.
Yeah,
even though the documentary came out, yeah, sure, but like, or
it was nice to get her side of it.
Yeah, exactly.
Because one of the things we were going to talk about how the media really was a villain in this.
Yes,
the media painted her as this horrible, awful human being, and going with the image of the skating association, like she had to fit this certain image, and of course the media was going to paint her as a villain. So, like I said, the cards were continuously stacked against this
100%. Yeah, it's a terrible situation to be in for anybody, right? And I love how people would probably be like, yeah, well, she was hitting him too, and it's like, let's be so for real.
Don't even get me started.
Right? Like, because that ties in with like the whole like Chris Brown and Rihanna situation, which is just like, it's so frustrating. Because like, and like, I got some parallels with this, right? Because like with Chris Brown, he almost killed her.
Oh, I don't know why he has a career currently. I don't know why
he still has a career. Especially with how many women fans that he has.
I don't understand that. I don't understand that at all. I think he's a very talented young man.
Yes.
But I think he's a horrible human being.
Correct.
And I don't know why he has a career.
And other people can do things that he does.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, I just don't get it.
Like when he posted after Bad Bunny's Super Bowl performance, and he was just like, they need me. No, we don't. No, Chris, we don't. Who you need is a therapist.
We need Bruno Mars. Again, I loved his performance with Beyonce for the Super Bowl. Yes, very good. But anyways,
Going back to Tonya.
With Tonya, right, she almost got killed by him. He almost shot her.
But he did shoot her.
I think
it ricocheted off of and it grazed her.
Exactly.
He still shot her.
And you know what? And the police didn't do shit. And this whole situation, oh my God, this whole situation could have been avoided if the police officer did his job.
And she said, that's why I don't trust the authorities.
Exactly.
Women are scared to report because we continuously fail them.
And you know what? There was multiple witnesses too.
He was waving the gun. He was waving the gun. You waved. Like, no.
You name it.
You name it.
Shout out Mari's episode.
Sit down with it.
Watch that.
Goodness gracious. Yeah, there's been so many times that the cops had
yeah, the fact that she ended up calling the police like so many times.
So many restraining orders.
Yes. So the fact that doesn't play into the fact that like, oh, right, she wouldn't have really had anything to do with this because her husband is actively ruining her life.
And I liked how, I will say, one thing that I can appreciate was at the end when her husband acknowledged, like, I ruined her career.
Yeah.
That was on me.
The only amount of accountability that he had in that whole movie.
The entire time.
Yeah. Yep.
And two, like, one thing I do want to bring up, and it's very small, right? I do want to talk about how delusional Sean's parents were. Because whenever Sebastian Stan, they go over his house, right? Like, we're on CNN! And he's watching it. Sean is watching it with his parents. He's like, yeah, look what we did. Ahead.
The enabling is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy.
Our son works for counter-terrorism.
They didn't say that.
Around the world? No.
That was him specifically.
No, yeah, but like, I imagine his parents believing it because good old boy said so.
The thing that pisses me off, right?
Derek!
The fact that Jeff and Tonya both were like, yeah, we'll trust him to handle this. What made them think?
What credibility?
What credibility? What made them think that he would have proper connections to do that? Like, let's be so for real. Like, at least with Jeff, like, he at least had some sort of idea of how, like, this would go.
Mm-hmm. And one thing I do want to bring up, right? We're talking about letters. I want to draw a comparison to social media. People can write awful things on social media all of the time. And from troll accounts, death threats and everything. So when I thought of the letters, I thought, okay, modern day, I would draw that parallel to a social media threat, which those things obviously should be taken seriously, right? Legality of stuff, like you can I don't know exactly what the letters would have said, right? Because if it's an explicit threat and everything, obviously you can get in massive trouble for that, right? And no one wanted the actual assault to happen. Right, so I can see people on troll Sean wanted the assault to happen.
Jeff, because it came out that he was behind it.
No, I thought Sean.
Remember when they're in the car? And then she's like they have the conversation, and then he's like, I told you not to say anything. Blah, blah, blah. And then she's like, well, we didn't have anything to do with it. And then she was like, do you have something to tell me? And then he's silent. And then, yeah, that's basically him being like, yeah, he had something to do with that.
I didn't think that Jeff wanted the assault to happen. I thought that he just wanted the letters to happen. And then. That's
initially what they were like playing off of. But then it kind of.
But then Sean was like, am I getting this wrong?
Because the story is told through interviews, so part of it is told from his perspective. And Tonya said that he never told her explicitly that he had something to do with it, but she's like, I'm pretty sure he did, but he refuses to say.
Yeah.
So from his point of view, it's like the way it's told on his side, it's like he had nothing to do with it. It was just letters. But for her, it was like, he did it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and like, that's believable, right? It's just the fact that it's very frustrating. Also, the fact that the FBI showed Jeff
The transcript. Put her in such a dangerous situation because he had already gone to her house with a gun beforehand.
Yeah, and this is recorded. Or actually, okay, well, that incident isn't recorded. But the records show how many restraining orders that she's had to put on him. The FBI would have access to that information.
Yeah.
We're going to have to wrap this up because I'm going to get pissed.
Yeah.
I'm going to start getting mad.
The authorities failed Tonya Harding so many times.
Everybody failed her. And when I say everybody, I mean everybody because it includes her as well. Because, again, she is not innocent in all this. However, everything went against her. Everything.
But when I was talking about the media aspect, I know we're going to be wrapping up too, but like when we talk about the media aspect of like the parallel I drew between the psychological warfare of like social media and getting in an athlete's head, right? Like doing hate tweets or whatever from a troll account could be considered the equivalent of like sending letters.
Yes.
Not necessarily like death threats and everything. Like, yeah, obviously that is psychological warfare and like illegal, right?
Yeah, but like harassment or
like
cyberbullying, whatever.
That's the parallel I drew from it. Like both of it is wrong, but I would challenge the legality in our modern sense of not the death threat part, obviously wrong, but saying so and so can't skate or so and so is so dumb, her hair is ugly, she looks like trailer, like saying that like so and so looks like the way Tonya's mom paid the guy to berate her, right? If he had said that in a tweet, right, and sent it to, that is psychological warfare. In my mind, that's like maybe the beginning of the intentions with the letters, possibly, but then it turned into death threat. Which I could be wrong. I could be completely wrong. But like that's where I'm drawing the parallel.
To reveal that Sean is the one that sent the death threat.
Yes. We said that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I was like, why? For what?
And then he's like, hey, 4 steps ahead, baby.
Yeah.
Brings in business.
I'm gonna need
Man.
That is Mole Man! Oh my god. Fantastic Four. Great job. He did a great job. He's like, I need another $1,000.
The fact that he made us hate him in this film.
Oh yeah.
Like
amazing acting.
No, because again, whenever that was revealed, right? He was like, oh, it's gonna bring business in. You can only be security for so many people.
And he was telling everybody what he did.
Oh my god!
On the street, like, somebody knows something. What did you? He's telling everybody. Yeah, that's when my guy took Nancy Kerrigan out. And you know, I would have loved to see an interview of Nancy Kerrigan talking about what happened, and if she has had any contact with Tonya Harding, or she's heard anything, or like her perspective of it all.
Because it said that it was like they went like 8 years no contact or something like that. But it seems like they're like not necessarily fine with each other, but it's like there's no like begrudging or anything. I don't know. That's something we'd have to look up. But also, honestly, I think the whole thing just needs to be dropped because I don't think anybody in that situation wants it to be like covered more than it already has.
We say that as we're doing this episode.
Yes. But again, this is in relation to like abuse and trauma.
Yeah.
Right? I'm saying like not adding more into
kicking that dead horse.
Yeah, adding more to the actual story.
And this is almost 10 this movie's almost 10 years old.
That's crazy, yeah. The fact that 2017 is almost 10 years ago is insane. Yeah.
All right. Well, we're going to wrap it up?
Yeah, we can, I guess.
Okay.
I don't know.
Well, guys, thank you so much for joining us. I really hope y'all enjoyed this episode. And as we go forward with the new segments of like going over female representation in sports media, we really hope y'all like it because females deserve more representation when it comes in the media. We've drawn a lot of parallels between male representation in sports media and how different those kinds of movies are in comparison to movies centered around females, especially when it comes to like male versus female directors or male versus female directors that were also in sports. Like we want to make those kinds of analysis and just kind of dive deep into how females are represented in cinema.
And once we get more of an actual sample size with these forms of media, then we'll probably start drawing more of those parallels between the male and women's sports movies. So just stay tuned for that. You know, it'll be very informative because there's always some type of relation with anything. So being able to find how these things kind of correlate with each other, especially I think when it comes to the men directing the women's movies versus women directing the women's movies.
Like when we see it in video games with when you can tell a man animated that character. Okay, we gotta go. So for all the women.
Yes. Anyways, what is the segment called?
Female representation in sports media, I think we're calling it.
Yes, that concludes the episode. Thank you guys for watching.
Yeah, we really appreciate it, Connor. Thank you so much for being on today. And guys, remember that no matter where you are in your journey, you are more than enough.
Always.
I'll see y'all later.